In the introduction, Brendan, Lawson and I try to sum up the literature in 10 points, 10 things that we know about humanitarian numbers. For instance, point one, the idea that numbers look like a fact and are very often taken for granted, but sometimes they are not. Sometimes numbers are guesstimates, sometimes numbers are just estimation, and that is frequently the case in humanitarian contexts where access to the region is difficult. And sometimes numbers are mere lies, and we had an example with the Afghanistan papers when US aid claimed that life expectancy in Afghanistan was rising quite quickly after the US and NATO invasion of Afghanistan, but it was based on a false calculus of a child mortality that was just not representative for the whole country. So this number was not true. Another example is 0.5. Numbers can be better than the institution that produced them, and this is a fact that is often forgotten with the current illusion or hope that new technologies, mobile data, digitalization, remote sensing will lead to better statistics even when local institutions, state institutions, health institutions are collapsing. Well, this is not the case. Local institutions are still key in the production of statistics. And it is very obvious if you look at the methodologies used by the leading humanitarian organization to produce statistics, including the methodology of SENSE used by the UNHCR, or the SMART technology to assessing malnutrition and health situation used, for instance, by the UNICEF, or even the methodology used by the International Organization on Migration to count the number of IDPs, of internally displaced persons. Those methodology rely very heavily on face-to-face communication, very old-fashioned social relations, and depend heavily on local staff, including state institutions. So the quality of institution is really important in order to produce good statistics, and that should be remembered by donors who sometimes tend to prefer to invest in new technologies or humanitarian innovation that are fancy, and are kind of reluctant in paying the salary of local staff or state servants. But this is even more important for the production of good statistics. Finally, maybe another takeaway in this introduction. There are things that are said in numbers that nobody would dare to say in words, and I think this is an important point. We take the example of Yemen in 2017, when the WHO suddenly stopped the campaign of vaccination against cholera, but the WHO didn't say, hey, we are stopping the vaccinations campaign because it's too expensive and we want to spare money, but they presented a set of numbers that were complicated but led to the same conclusion. So there are things that numbers say that nobody will dare to actually say in words. So it's important to translate numbers into words and back again.